a degree in biochemistry. Now, in 2002, Aakanksha joined the John Garriga lab. She spent much of this time studying how cells in the nervous system acquire specific fates. Now, I have here a paragraph describing actually her technical contributions, but I'm gonna cut that out and leave that for her mentor to describe when he actually does the hooding. All I'll tell you now is that she's accepted a postdoctoral position at Rockefeller University. Aakanksha's husband, Sebastian Jayaraj, her parents, Ashok and Anita Singhvi, are here in the audience today. Welcome. And please join me in welcoming Aakanksha to the podium.
Honored Chief Guest, Dr. Howard Shackman, Dean of MCB, esteemed faculty, staff of our GAO, friends, family, and fellow graduate students, I wish you all a very good evening. I spent weeks initially trying to figure out what I would say today on such a special occasion. When I asked people, my colleagues, they said, "Oh, don't be boring. Please don't talk of caterpillars and butterflies." Some said, "Google it." Thanks, guys, that was a lot of help. Especially when I did take Howard Shackman's 293C ethics course, and I'm speaking right after him. I was told I should tell a good story, perhaps, but I don't have very many good stories, and I decided that my stories alone could not do justice to the experience of all of us on whose behalf I speak today. I thought of quotations, of the meaning of the word commencements, of inspirational anecdotes. But I am in no position today to give any advice or talk of inspirational quotes, and the rest just seemed so sterile. So what I'm telling you is that I now have a PhD from UC Berkeley, and I had a very hard time putting together a 5-minute talk. But then, when I thought about why I wanted to be a commencement speaker, I realized that it was because I really wanted to share 2 thoughts today with all of you. One, my belief, my very strong belief, that what we have gotten out of our PhD has nothing, I think, nothing to do with our thesis. And the second is my growing realization over the years that our PhD, or my PhD, does not belong to me, but belongs to each and every one of us sitting today in this auditorium. And these are my 2 thoughts I'm sharing with you today. So we now have our PhD officially and nicely autographed by our Governor of California. And I know that these 3 letters and the branding and our training does help a lot. But I think that the most important thing that this PhD has taught us is not technical aptitude, ability to critique papers, but our emotional aptitude and our ability to critique ourselves. I speak, I think, for all of us today in saying that grad school has been a phase of not only scientific, but also personal discovery. We have learned today to believe in ourselves. We have learned to push our own personal comfort zones, leap into the unknown, make that leap worthwhile. Oliver Wendell Holmes, a writer, said, "No mind stretched once by an idea ever comes back to its original dimension." During our journey here, this journey here has given us the confidence to admit that sometimes there are things we don't know. It has given us the idea that we should question dogma, value originality, ask questions, even of ourselves, about ourselves. It is okay not to know every answer. Sometimes it is better to live without knowing an answer than to live with a wrong one. Be it life, or be it the science we have been doing here. So in retrospect, I realize today that the scientific temper that I have learned over the last 6 years in Berkeley has seeped also into how I approach life. And that, for me, has been the biggest achievement of my PhD, I think of all our PhDs. This, our pursuit of science, of self, hasn't given us happiness. I think it has given us truth, and in our different ways we have to ask, how can we make this truth make us happy? As we today turn our tassels, may we never turn away from what this experience has taught us, and may we never turn away from the joy of discovery, the beauty of truth. And this brings me to the second thing I wanted to say today. And that is that our journey today has not been solitary, but a life that has been shared with all of you sitting today in the audience, some of us with here on the podium. In MCB, in the program, it's been a pleasure to be in the middle of so much energy, so much intelligence. It has been exhilarating, intimidating, sometimes discouraging, but always, always challenging. When I started my first year here, I was a fresh explant from India. I felt I knew zilch. Most times I still feel the same today, but what I have learned here is that the fun is not always in knowing, but in the process of figuring it out. And I also take with me one lesson in attitude from all of the faculty sitting here. When I talked with my advisor, with seniors, with faculty in the hallways, when we took Nobel laureates out to lunch, and when we asked questions in seminars, never once were we made to feel insignificant. We were always equals, even in the middle of all of these intellectual giants. That felt so nice, and may I remember these examples of unassuming humility as I grow older. We've shared, all of us, with our lab mates, advisors, classmates, 6 years of our lives. It seems a long time ago when I last remember our class together at these evening presentations called serves, sharing food and beer on the stone floors of LSA. We made our first friendships then, and we bonded later by sharing all our ups and downs of graduate school. Thesis writing, qualifying exams, we had PCR reactions, and of course, the stories of legend. Some of you will know what I mean when I say Jasper Rhine and the stolen laptop, Mike Levine and sticky notes, Noam Sabel, 3 a.m. Neuro Retreat dance floor. These are the people who have all touched our lives and made a big difference. And we take with us a memory of all of your efforts and our gratitude. Thank you, everyone, our faculty, advisors, colleagues, and the wonderful, wonderful members of the GAO, the staff of MCB. You've all been so very welcoming. Thank you. For me, this journey has been scientific, personal, and also cultural. I have seen the spirit of this country through MCB. Here is where I found new friends in a new world. And these are the people that made Berkeley home. My graduation today is in MCB, but also in Americanese. For example, I learned from my advisor that I wanted to visit the old faithful geyser, not geezer, in Yellowstone National Park. I learned after a few years of practice to cheer for the big game, Cal football, even when I realized that it engages neither the foot nor a round ball. And I also learned from my fellow students to mix strawberry schnapps, grenadine, and Baileys into something that looks like and is called cerebral hemorrhage. And I learned at MCB Follies that beer plus biology plus grad student is equal to wild humor. Besides our colleagues, my colleagues, I also want to thank all of you in the audience, our family, friends, loved ones, who are today with us in person or perhaps in spirit. This journey would not have been possible without your belief in us. You kept us going when we doubted ourselves. You reminded us that the best way to use our brains was to follow our hearts. And you were always, always there for us. And for that, from all of us, to all our families and loved ones, thank you. Today we take with us some friendships, memories, and a part, of course, of Berkeley's Berkeley. Our PhD has been flavored by the spirit of free thought and speech that makes this university so unique. And I feel fortunate to have been part of such an extraordinary amalgam of political, and scientific trendsetters. But to whom much is given, much is expected. In small ways or big, I hope we continue to foster this marriage of excellence and equality in all walks of our life. As I look forward today, I wish, of course, for success and for happiness. But this PhD in MCB has taught me to take the fear out of failure. We have all learned that if we know the results of an experiment, it is not fun to do it anymore. Wherever our paths take us tomorrow doesn't matter. We have learned that the important thing is not whether this will be the story, but that this will be our story. Shakespeare once said, "The readiness is all." Today, I say, we are all ready. To end, I quote, "The future lies before us, like a field of driven snow. Let's be very careful how we tread, for our footprints will always show." As we now follow our hearts into whatever lies ahead, I wish all of my classmates good luck. The American poet Emily Dickinson said, "Finite to fail, infinite to venture." And I really look forward to seeing what all of my classmates venture into next. And I want to leave all of you with this thought. Some place like this, 6 years ago, is in the sea of unknowns, is where we started, and it all turned out just fine. Mazel tov. Thank you.
We're now going to begin the hooding ceremony. We have a professional photographer on.